If you're looking for an adorable little succulent to add to your collection, look no further than Sedum rubrotinctum. This adorable plant has chubby little leaves that in the traditional variety, they can get bright red and a little bit orangey on the tips. And then in the Aurora variety, you can see the leaves are a little bit more pale and then more of a pinkish purple on the edge. And the leaves are so much fun. One thing that is tricky about these though is as you're moving them or trying to combine them with other succulents and arrangements, the leaves tend to fall off really easily. Sometimes just a slight bump will send 10 or 12 leaves flying. So the great thing about those leaves though is that when they do fall off, you can place them right back on top of the soil, and within a few days of laying on dry soil and then a little bit of water, they will start to produce baby plants of their own. And there is nothing cuter than little baby Sedum rubrotinctum growing from those leaves. So if you are looking to attempt propagating succulents from leaves, I would highly recommend starting with Sedum rubrotinctum because it is incredibly easy to propagate that way. You can also propagate it by cutting off some of the stems, letting it dry out for a day, and then sticking it in some dry soil and watering regularly. Within a couple weeks, it should grow roots and start growing taller. These will grow to be about 12 inches in height, so it's not going to be a gigantic plant, but it is still a decent size. However, it also stays nice and small and compact in a container arrangement. It will need full sun in order to maintain a compact shape. You'll notice that this one here is really elongated. I've had it in the studio just under these video lights as grow lights for about a week, and you can see that it's already starting to stretch out. This Aurora is not quite as stretched out, but it can be even more compact than this. So it's not a succulent that I would recommend for growing indoors unless you have it under a really bright grow light. You'll also find though that if it is indoors or if it's in shade, it's not going to get that nice orangey red tinge along the edge. It'll stay a really deep green color. Now, it can tolerate temperatures down to about 20 degrees Fahrenheit, so it's rated for a zone 9. It can do pretty well outdoors in a freezing climate as long as the freezing doesn't last for more than a couple weeks and as long as the temperatures don't get much below freezing. So if you have temperatures that are 20 degrees for a couple days in a row, you'll want to cover these with frost cloth or bring them inside until it warms up a little bit. Otherwise, you will see some damage and frostbite, as I like to call it, on the leaves. So keep an eye out for that. These can be toxic to humans and animals, so you'll want to make sure that you keep them out of reach of any of your pets so that they don't get sick. The Sedum rubrotinctum is most actively growing in spring and fall. It's technically considered a winter grower, so it likes those cooler temperatures to really grow and put off new offshoots. And even for propagation, you'll generally want to propagate them in the spring, although you can do it year-round. Now, something that happens a lot with Sedum rubrotinctum is they tend to put off what we call aerial roots. So it's little roots that grow right along the stem of the plant. Sometimes the stems can get really hard and woody, and that's pretty normal as the plant ages. And if you live in a humid environment, then you're more likely to see those aerial roots. Usually what that means is there's water in the air and the succulent is trying to reach for that water. So it'll put off these aerial roots to try and get more. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that your succulent is underwatered, but just keep in mind that it generally indicates a humid environment and your succulent is just trying to get more water to keep it alive and growing. In general, though, Sedum rubrotinctum just loves to follow the soak and dry method. So you soak the soil with water and let it dry out completely. Generally, that can take several days, sometimes a week or more, depending on where you live. Again, humidity is going to play a big role in that. And for more information on the soak and dry method, be sure to watch our watering video. But for sure, you'll want your Sedum rubrotinctum in a dry, well-draining soil. You don't want it to be wet or soggy for very long. And once the soil is dried out completely, go ahead and water it again. So this little plant is so fun. Pork and beans, or jelly beans as it's sometimes called. It just has a really different look than your typical rosette succulent. and it'll make a really great addition to your collection. I would love to know what your experience has been growing Sedum rubrotinctum. Feel free to leave a comment below and share your experience with me, anything you've noticed about the plant or what you like most about it. Thanks so much for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and share it with all of your succulent loving friends, and I will see you next time.